Okay, we're going to be making some 10-inch block rims here. I've already got the stock milled out like this, 1-inch square mesquite. The saw has been set up here at 11.25 degrees. I've got a little block set up already for the 10-inch rim, which is the pattern I use. And this is how I cut the pieces. Cut 16 per rim and keep them all together. And I'm cutting it so the grain is oriented all the same, so that it's quarter sawn, and that will be in the horizontal or vertical position. Okay, I've got all my blocks cut here. I'm doing enough for about 8 rims. The next thing I do, you can see I've got all the blocks lined up here, so there's 16. They're all in order, the way they came off the saw. I put this piece of tape on here, held in place by a push pin, and with this straight edge to keep everything in line. And the next thing we do is put these blocks onto the tape like this. I use the straight edge because it keeps them all nice and straight. So when we glue them up around with the hose clamps, everything will lay nice and flat. There. When we get to the end of the line, just take a utility knife and cut the tape like that. Pull out the push pin, and then you can see this whole thing will roll up just like that. I've left a little extra tape on the end to hold it, so when I go about gluing this up, it's quite simple. That will be the next process. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to glue these segments together. For that we need some glue. I like to use a little jar. It's got Titebond Original in it, and a paintbrush. Quickest thing, you want to work fast when you're working with glue and have everything ready to go. I've also got my band clamps. These are all more or less set up for the size rim we'll be gluing, so I don't have to monkey around with it at the last moment. These 2 melamine discs, which I'll use to flatten the rims once the segments once they're glued together, and these 3 little blocks that will hold the hose clamps up while we're gluing, and my drill with a nut driver here. And I've got it set about 6. You don't need a tremendous amount of torque to glue these things up. With the angles, I'm sure it's compounded somehow. I'm not a physicist or mathematician or anything, so I can't tell you how much, but I guarantee it doesn't need a whole lot of torque. So we'll begin by putting the glue on these. I get both sides. Now I'm working on a piece of melamine because it's easy to clean up with a damp rag. I'm working fast too because I had to shut my fan off, and it's extremely hot in here today. The temperature is only about 98, so it's cooled off. Yesterday it was up to 108, so we got to work fast. There, it's all been coated up. So we just take and roll this thing up like so, up there, and attach a piece of tape. It's nice and tight. Okay, the whole assembly here is now placed on one of these melamine discs. I just got to wipe a little glue off the top of here for starters. Place this. Whoop. My little blocks in place here to hold the hose clamps up toward the center of the assembly. And put that hose clamp on like that, and take the drill, which is set at about 6 for the torque, and it's got a nut driver on it. And I'm going to tighten this up just a little bit, not all the way. Just enough so the clamp starts to tighten up on there and will stay put in the center. Next we'll put the other melamine disc on top and put some of these hand screw clamps around to make sure everything's nice and flat. And a little twist. You don't have to be way over tightened, it's just to flatten the assembly out. Put 4 of them around, like so. And we take our drill, this just a little bit. Onto both sides, since these clamps are made up out of 2 hose clamps to get the diameter necessary. Okay. Take the clamps off. Take the damp rag and clean up the glue as we go so we can keep moving ahead. There, all cleaned up, ready to go. This will be set aside and left to dry, and we'll just keep moving on and doing the same thing over and over till we're done. And then they'll later be laminated together to form the rims and turned down on the lathe.